probably the hottest trend here at the Fancy Food Show with, 1,500 exhibitors, over 100,000 products, comes down to one term: plant-based. And Michelle Simon is with us from the Executive Director of the Plant-Based Foods Association, a mouthful. You must be pretty excited these days when we look at, all the trends and frankly, it's been around for a while. We've been seeing it probably 4 or 5 years in the making, but now, every major company, I think it was just Nestle that announced last week or the week before that they are going to introduce a plant-based burger and so on. So you guys have got to be pretty excited.
Yeah, I would say we're definitely on trend.
Yeah.
And it is an exciting time. And actually, the industry goes back even further, some 30, 40 years. And what's exciting is right here at the show, you can see the companies that have been around a while, like Follow Your Heart is a great example of a company that really helped create the trend. And then newer companies like Miyoko's Kitchen, which did just start a few years ago. And then startup companies that are just getting into the space. And as you say, even now the conventional food companies are realizing that they have to be part of this consumer trend.
So let's talk about this consumer trend. And I go back, I've grown up in the food world. When I was a teenager, my dad brought soy burgers and soy fake bologna that was absolutely horrible. I've mentioned that before. We've come a long way in product development, number one. I think that's one of the things. But why are consumers gravitating towards plant-based, and why, frankly, are these major companies now gravitating to become members of the Plant-Based Foods Association versus the traditional food associations?
Yes. Well, I would say the what's happening now is a combination of two sort of parallel paths. One is consumers generally being more and more interested in healthy eating, right? Really being concerned about where their food comes from, but especially the health aspects of their diet.
But we've seen that before.
It's true.
I mean, we've seen people concerned about what they're eating from a diet for appearance or a diet for health standpoint.
Certainly.
For probably 25 years.
Right. But I think we're seeing more of a mainstreaming of that idea. So there's always been a segment of the market that's been interested in healthier eating. But now we're seeing mainstream consumers, conventional retail stores, more and more making room on the shelf for healthier eating. But the other parallel track, I think, is what really nails it, is the innovation that's happening right now, especially with new companies really pushing the envelope. So like you said, years ago, it really didn't taste so good to have a meat alternative.
It was
horrible.
Horrible.
But those days are over.
Yes,
no longer do you have
absolutely.
to sacrifice.
Right.
Now you can have like a Beyond Burger and not even know the difference.
Right.
And so the fact that companies have really upped their game, have realized to really reach that mainstream consumer, the food's got to taste good. It's not enough to just be an alternative to meat or dairy, but it's first and foremost it has to taste great.
So what was that trigger in the consumer's mind that finally said, I'm going to get more serious about eating healthy. I'm not going to have some of these frozen packaged meals that are lower in fat or lower in sodium or lower in sugar, but really, be more plant forward.
Well, as someone who's been in this movement for a couple of decades now, I think there's been a combination of organizations of information out there that have really been pushing this idea that, people really do, what you eat matters. And, especially for an older generation, they're feeling the impacts of that, right? I mean, no one wants to get to age 60 and have to be on a bunch of pills, right? That's not a great way to live. And so I think that people are finally waking up to well, wait a minute, what I put in my mouth matters. We're seeing a new generation of healthcare practitioners who talk about diet and exercise.
And retail dietitians in particular in stores.
Definitely. So of course, it's not just one trigger. It's a confluence of many factors that have made this wave happen.
So where does plant-based go from here? You've established yourself as a fabulous association, lots of great companies joining up. The consumer is the wind at your back. So what's next for Plant-Based Food Association?
I'm just going on vacation, and it's so easy.
The hard work is just starting.
Right. Well, a couple of things. First of all, we have the political, the policy angle, which is a really important part of our work. So, the milk and dairy, the dairy and meat industries are pushing back, unfortunately, on some labeling
They
issues.
don't like you.
They don't like us. But you know what? We don't want to be in a fight with them.
Right.
We say there's room for everyone in the marketplace. But unfortunately, they are picking a fight with us. And so we are active in both Congress and
And
the
a
states.
lot of that has to do with labeling, using the
Absolutely.
word milk on almond milk or
Correct.
hemp milk and so on.
Right.
And then I think it was Missouri that passed a law that
On meat labeling.
a vegan or a plant-based meat product cannot have the word meat on it.
Correct. And we're seeing more states now in the new legislative session start to take up that same idea. So policy is a big one, a big challenge for us.
So is that going to hurt you if you can't be called meat or milk?
Well, we're not accepting that outcome
Right.
because we think there's something called the First Amendment that allows our companies to use words that consumers understand with proper qualifiers. No one's trying to fool anyone. We're
Right.
actually trying to reach consumers who are looking for these types of products. So I'm not worried about it in the long run, but in the short run, it definitely, keeps me up at night.
But for milk in particular, and I don't know about meat, isn't there a standard of identity that says that milk has to come from an animal?
There is. However, our companies are using qualifying terms around the word milk. They're not
Okay.
just saying milk, right?
Okay.
They're saying almond milk. They're saying non-dairy. They're using what FDA refers to as common or usual names.
So it's easy for a consumer to understand
Absolutely.
that hemp does not come from a cow.
Exactly.
Okay.
No one's being fooled.
Okay.
So there's the policy. But the other arena, and that we're really excited to be here at the show to talk about, is partnerships with retailers. So last fall, we did a campaign that we called Fall in Love with Plant-Based.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a shopper marketing campaign at 70 Lucky Stores here in Northern California. And this afternoon, at our session at 2:30, we will be having Jenna Mesereau from Save Mart Lucky Stores on a panel with two of our member companies, Follow Your Heart and Calafia Farms, who participated in this shopper marketing campaign. So those are the kinds of partnerships that really help shine a light on the
Consumers
category.
drinking
Yep.
plant-based milk.
That is actually Tabitha Brown, our influencer, who came for the day to help us with the campaign.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yes.
She's in all the pictures.
Yes, well, she's quite photogenic. So that was a really fun day.
You
when
all
she
are
came up.
photogenic.
Yes, that is my team. And Jenna from Save Mart is on the picture as well. So yes, those are the kinds of partnerships, especially with conventional retailers, again, that are seeing they need to keep up with this trend that we really want to do more of in 2019.
Well, congratulations. You've done a fabulous job. You've got a long road ahead, but, again, everything is in your direction. And
Thank you.
frankly, we've talked a lot about consumers, we've talked a lot about the products, but it's good for the planet. And it's good for the sustainability of our planet and a lot of these companies. Because when you read the reports of all the scientists and everything else, we have evolved our food system in a way that has done some damage. So now, we have this window of opportunity to correct that.
We really do. And that's
Yeah.
what's so exciting, to have so many mission-based companies and to have this platform here at the Fancy Food Show, to see that shift happening even here, which is, a lot of conventional foods too,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
see
yeah.
that natural foods, way of thinking really come into the mainstream is very exciting.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you,
Keep
Phil.
up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Looking
Appreciate
forward
it.
to When we come back, even more right here from the Winter Fancy Food Show.